Hello, folks. Back again with the ancient cosmography. Um, so this is like the ancient map, 5,500-year-old map of much of the world. It has like Africa. It's flipped antipodally retrograde, so everything is like inside out. So if you want to see it the way that we're used to seeing it, you have to flip it, I guess flip horizontal, right? Yeah. So if we flip it like this, then we see it as we're used to seeing it from a bird's eye view. So this is Africa, like West Africa, Southern Africa, Antarctica, Antarctic Peninsula, Asia, um, the British Isles, South America, Central America, Yucatan, Texas, Florida, Baja California, Hudson Bay, Greenland. This is probably Baffin Island. And yeah, I think this represents the mouth of the Mediterranean or something. So anyway, that's this map that most modern people, they didn't realize it is a map, and so they just think it's some, I don't know what. But there are some people who did recognize that it is a map, but they read it wrong because for some reason it's I don't know. It's hard to know whether I should give them any credit for this because yeah, they did figure out it's a map, but they decided that the part that's land is water and the part that's water is land. So and they realized that they must have realized that it doesn't even look legit. So they had to change the colors to make it look more legit. So and they changed the orange part to white and the white part to orange. I mean, this is literally what they did. And their theory is that all the parts that don't have boats on them are water, and every place where there's a boat is land, which again is fucking stupid as fuck. Like, but nevertheless, they're still not as stupid as all the actual like Egyptologists who claim that this whole thing is just that actually this whole part is just a stain. That everything here is just a stain except for these little figures on there. So yeah, it's pretty funny, and they basically identify it as a map of the planet, which is largely true. But why this would why North America? It's like none of this looks anything like this. None of this. The Mediterranean is not shaped like that. It's not. It's not shaped like that in any fucking possible way. Turkey is not shaped like this. Greece is not even at all shaped like this. None of this shit is shaped like this at all. But yet, these people are still a million times smarter than the mainstream academics who claim that this couldn't possibly be a map at all, and proceeded to erase and destroy it. The Egyptian and British authorities destroyed this map. So now it's mostly, nothing. It's mostly blank. Let's see. I was gonna point out with this. This is like a ancient Mayan map, or it seems to be an ancient Mayan map of Alaska, and with Kodiak Island as its captive. So this guy is, anthropologists call him God K, which is kind of meaningless, but I guess they just developed some system to name the different gods. So I already showed this, but I was just going to also point out that, not only does it seem to have his tear, like he's crying, like here, but it also seems to have his like ear spool thing or whatever this earring thing is here seems to be it's either this part and then this is the round thing, or perhaps more likely this part is the long part and then the round part is here, or maybe, I'll try to get a bigger image to see if there's like more to that. But, that's another part of it that is, accurate. And the way that his hair, it's like his hair sticks out, his bangs or whatever. He has one part of the hair that sticks out and is on the bottom. So that I think is this little peninsula right here. And then there's another part that's higher up that sticks out and curls upward. And so that seems to be this peninsula here. And then it curls around and then kind of it's rounded, and then there's a crease here and then like that. So that's like how it's rounded here, comes down to a crease or inlet or whatever, and then goes back up to the rest of the hair. So, just showing how like how accurate it all is, and his frown, of course, and he's crying and he has a prominent chin and all these things. So yeah, there you go for that. I'm not sure if he represents America entirely or if he just represents Alaska. He might represent America entirely, and he might be connected to Tlaloc, or he might be an aspect of Tlaloc. He might be the kind of American counterpart to Mictlantecuhtli, who seems to be the personification of Afro-Eurasia. And what else we got? So yeah, here it says the enigmatic god K, the so-called long-nosed god, brandishes a spear with a large point below which are placed smaller transverse points with red bases. The disc from which plumes depend. I don't know what that means. Can also be found on spears in the Dresden Codex. So this is in the Grolier Codex, or Grolier or something. Around his neck, on this badly damaged, badly destroyed page, the god wears a death collar. The butt of his spear rests upon the brown hair of a young captive. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Like I don't see the brown, so maybe they're going on some earlier pigment that was lost. But it does look brown. Like there are definitely some major brown parts of the actual island's Kodiak. So, brown hair of a young captive. God K incidentally appears in the list of 20 regions in the Venus tablets of the Dresden. Whatever his true nature and function, Thompson's identification of him as an earth and vegetation deity seems to me to be premature and probably ill-founded. What a fucking dumb cunt. So this is like Kerr, Kerr, who wrote this up, and he's talking shit, like, of course, all of us, we like to talk shit about our other fellow scholars and shit, but it's better if you're correctly talking shit, whereas this guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's dissing Thompson for saying this is an earth god, but this is an earth god. So Kerr's a fucking idiot. This is like when I was like making fun of the Greeks for equating Thoth with Hermes, because I was going off all the modern Egyptologists saying Thoth is the moon, but come to find out he actually is Hermes Mercury, and he's not the moon. He's just associated with the moon because just like Venus and just like, other planets are associated with the moon. And so, yeah. Okay. And what's this? Oh, yeah. So this is Okinawa Kumejima. And let's see. This is the rest of Codex Grolier or whatever, a bunch of different gods. They might all be land gods, or it could be a mix. Like this one here is Mictlantecuhtli, so his face seems to be Siberia, and I think he's holding St. Michael Island and like Hall Island, and maybe not Nunivak, but St. Lawrence Island, something like that. And this might be the same deity again. I'm not exactly sure. Pretty much looks the same. And then this one I think is Wellington Island in Chile. As far as I could tell, Wellington holding one of the nearby islands. This is, I was looking at Paleolithic because I was realizing based on, these ancient avatars, they basically are painted, especially the zoomorphic ones, they're painted very much the same as Paleolithic cave paintings and rock paintings of animals. So, the question is, are those paintings also zoomorphic maps? And I tend to think that most of them are. I mean, some of them may be star maps, like constellations and stuff, as many people have theorized, including many experts and academics have theorized. But I think as many or more might be terrestrial maps. And like, so this one, this is like a possibility with this. I have no idea. But that basically, this animal's like back haunches and legs or whatever would be this peninsula, like Çatalca Peninsula, basically Thrace, and that his tail would be like the top of the northern banks of the Black Sea. I mean, hey, his tail could even be this somehow, like in Crimea or whatever. Who knows? So, and then that this guy would be like Turkey, Anatolia here. And, and then this would be the Egypt down here. And so I'm not really sure about this. I'm not sure if this is what this is, but I think if it's not this, I think it's something like this. So I'm going to be looking at a lot more Paleolithic art to see if I can actually find a better, more conclusive identification. Let's see. Kumejima. Okay, so here is from, in this reconstruction, they took off the little island in front of his face, like, because they thought, they took that off because they're like, what is this? It must be a stain, just like the people who erased the other map. Like, oh, it's a stain, so they just took it off. But really, it should be there. So just pretend that thing is in front of his beard, which is, these little islands right here. It's like two islands right off right next to the beard. And then this is his hat, that's, and this is the curly part. Anyway, Kumajima is his hat, Okinawa is his body. And so this bird over him seems to be this nearby island, Miyakojima. So this is the bird's head right here, like sticks out. This is his beak. This is the head. And then this kind of shoulder hunchback part is like right here. And it kind of curls down like that. And then I think this wing and tail are just kind of merged into this. I'm not sure if that's literal, if there's any literal delineation between them, like distinction between them on the island itself or not. And then this other wing is just this part right here. So that's pretty straightforward. And then just to the right of this is this guy it's like a little guy holding a pole at the top of which is what looks like a kidney or something. And so I think that represents Ishigaki here, which is like shaped a bit like a kidney. And it's just it's like just beyond Miyakojima in this kind of island chain. So there's a bunch more on this mace head, but some of the others are even harder to identify. But I'll keep plugging away to identify all of them. Gotta catch them all. So these are like the original Pokemons that, the Shinto, because Pokemon was based on the Shinto religion, the Shinto nature spirits and stuff, and these are what those were. Yeah, this shit is so funny to me. This map. Let's see, what else we got? Anything? Love his hat, Kumajima. So this is just another Paleolithic thing. I think this is from like Chavo or Lusco or some Chave or Lusco or something like that, like Paleolithic European cave art. And just to me, it seems obvious that this is a map. Like the way like this guy is here, he's all like turned around, just all this stuff. It's just like so clearly a map. Like it's so clearly not meant to be a picture of real animals. Like to me, it seems very, or at least the extreme probability is that this is not meant to be anything at all literal. This is a symbolic map using zoomorphic forms. And, it could be like, I mean, fuck, I don't know what the hell it is, honestly. Like look at this. Like he has this animal has like a hoof and then one pointy limb. These are not real animals. This is a map just like the later ones. So this is like 20,000 or 30,000, about 30,000 years old, or maybe 22,000 years old. So it's like these maps, I think they've been making them for probably like, I mean, at least for 30,000 years, or 30 or 40,000 years, but probably much, much longer. This tradition of making zoomorphic and anthropomorphic avatars of land and constellations. It's the same concept as constellations. I think has been probably going on for hundreds of thousands of years. That's my guess. That over 200,000 years at the least is my guess. Some form of this tradition has been going on. And yeah, so that might be all I got for today. But like this, yeah, it's so similar. Like the depiction, like a lot of these have horses on them, and like they have this horse here, like, and And like this is the oldest one that I have, basically, that I can conclusively say what it is. This map, this is 5,500 years old. And this is the most stylized of probably all my maps. Like almost everything in this is extremely stylized to the point that you really can't, like, you would never, without knowing, understanding this system, nobody would look at any of these and say, oh yeah, that's Cuba, and oh yeah, that's Haiti, and that's, Puerto Rico and the British Virgin Islands, and this is, Colombia and Venezuela, and this is Trinidad, and this is Britain and Ireland and Shetland and the Faroes and the Azores and, Bahama. Like, no, because they're so stylized that unless you understand that these represent islands, and unless you understand the geography, because that's the only way I figured any of this out, is by knowing, okay, this is North America, this is South America, so this has to be Cuba, this has to be Hispaniola. And then once I knew that, I just had to like zoom in and realize, like, okay, yeah, of course it's a horse, because that big peninsula on the southern side is like a long front leg with a hoof at the end. And like, this one has to be Cuba because it has this curl around shape of the back legs, which is the shape of part of Cuba, and then its face like dips down like the other side of Cuba. And it's so stylized that it's, for the people, there's a lot of people who get frustrated with anything that's not immediately apparent. Like, they literally hate it. Like, they think things should not exist that are not really easy to figure out. So this would be a torture device for them. But for people who are into symbolism and nuance, it's more like a playground. So yeah, anyway, I think that's mostly what I got to show for today, and we'll call it a day. All right, thank you so much, and take care.